Hi, I'm your host, Donna Grainger, and thanks for joining us on The Community Producers, a monthly show produced by community volunteers like me. We begin this month with a look at the Cranbrook Garden Club's Open Garden Day.
Nancy Silzer is the president of the Cranbrook Garden Club and joins us in studio. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Dennis. Nice to be here. Thanks.
Exciting time. My goodness, you've got a guest speaker coming in July, your annual garden show. Let's get all caught up here then.
All right. So, Dennis, first of all, the thing that we've done this year is we moved the Open Garden Day tour to a Saturday instead of a Sunday. So it's on Saturday, July 7th, and we're actually going to be selling tickets that morning at the farmers market. So the tickets are available now, and so you can go to Top Crop and pick them up. You can head to Trends and Treasures, Casey's Greenhouse, and so the gardeners who are on tour are very busy in their gardens right now. I hear there's lots of little gnomes helping everybody out, and so they're getting ready for the tour. Now on the Saturday evening, we also have Donna with us. She's a guest speaker from Victoria. We are super excited to have her this year. She's world renowned. She's international known on HGTV for her Bugs and Blooms program, and she's also a part of CBC on a weekly basis, and she's got some blog sites.
We have to talk about how many members you have. You have more members than the Kelowna Garden Club, like 200 plus now here in Cranbrook.
We're actually over 275 now. So it's a huge number of members that we have on tour, and a lot of those members now are volunteering in the gardens, and they're volunteering to drive around and ensure that all the gardens are set in place and ready to go. So it takes a bit of a village to run this tour.
But when you have the tour, is there a map you put out? Like, how do people know, the public, if they want to see what the garden club is up to? There's a map to all the locations and properties then?
That's a good question, Dennis. We actually have the ticket itself is a little brochure, and it's a pamphlet. And on the pamphlet, when you go to the gardens, it has the map of the gardens, it has a little story about the gardens, and then the volunteers will initial it to say that you've been to that garden, and that's kind of your keepsake from the tour, and you bring that as your ticket to the speaker on Saturday night.
Right. There's a lot of benefits for people that want to be members of the Cranbrook Garden Club, including getting money off at some of the local growing centers. What else do you offer members that get involved here?
You know, Dennis, the amount of education that we give to members on a monthly basis, we have an amazing program director, Janine Twarowski, so we're very garden focused in our education, and we do some crafts too. So every November-ish, there's always some kind of winter craft happening at the garden club.
I found it a bit of a challenge gardening here. It's a shorter season than other locations in BC, but what are some of the secrets for people that don't have greenhouses, or maybe do and trying to get adjusted? You know who we're talking about here. I'm asking personally, but what are some of the gardening secrets for people that are trying to grow a garden in this part of the world?
So some of the tips are, Dennis, is that if you drive around Cranbrook in early May, you'll see that people have already put their plants out. So they put their plants out, and then this time of year you can see that they have gotten them ready, they've hardened them off, and so they're ready to go. If you put your plants out too early, then by June you've already had to replace them, and so you might be getting a little bit behind. But right now everything is in bloom, and you just have to try to protect it from the frost in the fall.
Yeah, and here comes July, August. So all these members, as they get set for the Open Garden Tour and your annual get-together, they're trying to grow their gardens, keep their lawns and in plants nice, and then they've got to go out and get this show ready. There is a lot of work. I mean, on the day of, and when you bring your guest speakers in and everything, we just see the final outcome, but this goes on year-round with your members, doesn't it?
It does go on year-round with the members. And the other thing to keep in mind is that we work very hard to get these gardens on tour, and we have to say, every garden is different and unique. Some are small and they have amazing little areas within their garden, and some gardens are acres in size, and so they have a lot more open space in their garden. So there's really a variety of gardens, which is exciting to see. Lots of ideas for gardeners.
What's the time commitment for the Cranbrook Garden Club other than getting a garden show ready like this? But do you have so many meetings throughout the winter time, or do you keep it pretty casual? Like, is it a hard commitment?
You know, it's not a hard commitment. When you buy your membership to the Cranbrook Garden Club, you come to what you would like to come to. You'll get the emails to let you know what's happening, and we do have a monthly meeting, and the executive meets once a month as well. So a bit more of a commitment from the executive, but I must tell you, I've been a part of an awful lot of organizations, and there are no true souls as big and as hearts as the Garden Club members. They're amazing.
Absolutely. I'd like to personally thank you for coming to our home. We put in a greenhouse last November, and there's still a lot to learn. Yeah, there's a lot more water, that's for sure.
Yes,
inside.
and with this heat in July, you'll know that you need to just keep opening it up and keeping that air moving through.
Nancy, before we let you go, let's run over dates and times of your special garden event coming up in July then.
Super, thanks Dennis. So Saturday, July 7th, we've changed it to a Saturday, so it is on the 7th of July, and it's a self-paced tour, and then that evening we have the guest speaker at the Heritage Inn, and all of that information is on your ticket.
Thank you for your time today. Nancy Silzer, the president of the Cranbrook Garden Club, joining us on the Community Producers.
Mount Baker students in Cranbrook recently had the opportunity to get hands-on training on heavy-duty equipment as part of the annual event, Project Heavy Duty. The best way to learn something is to do it yourself. That's the idea behind Project Heavy Duty, a collaboration between School District Number 5, College of the Rockies, and WorkSafe BC, which provides grade 11 and 12 students a taste of a career in the trades.
Many are not aware of the types of work that's happening in their community, the amount of money that people in certain trades can make, and how important it is to the community. There are a lot of choices out there, and unless you're exposed to some of them, you really don't know what you like or don't like.
The program alternates each year between the Elk Valley and Cranbrook, and for grade 12 Mount Baker secondary student Chantel Fox, it was an opportunity too good to pass up.
Project Heavy Duty is so exciting because we get to run really expensive machinery with people who are qualified to teach us how to run it properly. So it's really exciting to get the toes in the water experience but not feel stressed out about it.
Most kids get to experience a lot of amazing things like trips and like all sorts of things around the community, but not a lot of kids can experience something like this on such a large scale.
The 4-day program features 2 days learning about occupational first aid and worksite safety in the classroom, followed by a pair of days operating a variety of heavy-duty equipment, all donated by local contractors.
I definitely wish I had this sort of opportunity back then to really open my eyes into what I want to do.
I think it's a very special opportunity, not just in terms of the fun they're having, it's obvious they're having a really good time here, but the lessons they're learning about work ethic and safety on the job.
The focus on safety is something which organizer Brian Conrad says has become a major priority over the years.
It's very costly to a company and to society and to yourself if you get hurt on the job. So safety has to be preeminent. That's something that in my generation was hardly ever exposed to.
Like most students, this was Fox's first time using equipment like this, and while she was a little nervous, it didn't take her long to settle in.
I had all these nerves and then it just melted away in a pure rush of adrenaline the minute I had the gear shift in my hand. And the minute I had the opportunity to actually move the machine, there was no nerves anymore.
After spending approximately 11 hours on the machinery, students gain a new perspective on their possible future.
I'm going to leave here with a lot more experience than I came with, and I think I'm going to pursue a career in something like this.
For the Community Producers in Cranbrook, I'm Donna Grainger. Students at Laurie Middle School in Cranbrook have been hard at work on a collaborative piece of art which examines the history of residential schools in Canada.
Inspired by the national initiative Project of Heart, this hand-painted wooden tile mosaic is the culmination of 4 months of research involving roughly 250 middle school students in conjunction with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada.
When I went through school, I hadn't learned about residential schools, so I thought that it was extremely important that as a teacher, I made sure that my students understood this part of Canadian history.
The goal of the project is to have students delve into one of this country's darkest legacies.
We watched videos and we learned and we read about different residential school survivors from the past, and we learned about different residential schools that had been opened and operated in Canada, so they had to do a lot of research, and a lot of them reflected in the end and said that they couldn't believe what had actually happened.
For students like Shire couples Pinchuk and Burton Davis, the project has changed everything they thought they knew.
It was really fascinating to know there was more to our history than I originally thought. I was aware we had residential schools, but wasn't totally aware about how horrific they were.
The most I knew about residential schools was that they existed, didn't really know what happened in them. So like to be able to discover like what the Canadian government had been doing to the First Nations children was quite the eye-opener.
In Cranbrook, we had a residential school right in our area, so I thought it was just really important that they understood about the past and about what went on behind those walls at the residential school.
Donald Sam's mother was one of the roughly 15,000 students to stay at the St. Eugene Mission between 1910 and 1970.
I think it's important for the general public to learn about who we are and what we've overcome. There's a lot of stigmas around First Nations, and the more we know, then the less those stereotypes can thrive.
And through teacher Lesia Bazaraba's project, those stereotypes are beginning to be broken down, one student at a time.
I had a lot of kids actually say that before this type of project, they would have been a person that would have just said, oh, get over it, get over the past. But now they realize that there's more to it. And it's not a matter of getting over the past, but rather of healing and just moving forward.
I feel awful, honestly, because the damage will never be completely gone, but we can still make it better and strengthen the relationship between us and the First Nations.
It's a dark part of our history, but it's important to recognize that we did this as people, and now we need to accept it and move on.
I'm excited about the kids learning that because they're going to take that home, and hopefully the parents will be at a place where they can have that conversation at the dinner table.
In case you're wondering, there are 880 tiles in total. For the community producers in Cranbrook, I'm Layla Gross.
The Kootenay Ice recently signed their top 3 picks from this year's Bantam Draft, including the 2nd overall selection, defenseman Carson Lambos.
Super happy and excited right now to finally put the pen to the paper and make it official and have this be my future. I know they have really, really big plans ahead and trying to win, so I really hope I can help them succeed there, try to help on some offense and then contribute on defense as well. Carson, we thought was a top player in the draft, and so we were real excited when we were able to select him with the 2nd pick. Defense is a real tough position to find elite talent, and Carson really does everything that you'd look for in an elite defenseman. He moves the puck, he plays fast, he thinks the game well, and we're excited to add him to our group. Carter Prasovsky brings a bit of an edge. He's a right shot, so that's maybe a good mix moving forward when you look at Carson being a left and Carter a right shot in terms of how we're building our team. And Skylar's just a real smart, intelligent player, puts the puck in the net, and we were excited to pick all 3 of those players.
This September, Kimberley and Cranbrook will host the BC 55 Plus Games, where, for the first time in the 30-year history of the Games, women's hockey will be played.
It all started with a simple question. Why is there no women's hockey in the BC 55 Plus Games?
The answer given was because that's a new sport. You can't introduce a new sport. So we quickly went on to say, but there's ball for men and women. There's tennis for men and women. There's soccer for men and women. This isn't a new sport. This is just another division.
The game's governing body would hear their message and ultimately side with them, provided they could prove there was enough interest.
Everybody got on their emails and emailed old friends and across the province, old teammates from the coast, and there's players coming out of retirement that thought they had hung up their skates and now they see this new opportunity to play against their own age group. And we pretty quickly got the numbers up there and proved the point.
As players from across the province got behind the idea, they would eventually get their wish, and women's hockey was added to the bill. The East Kootenay boundary team will be made up of players from around the region, including 58-year-old Laurie Graham, who only started playing in her early 40s.
A few friends of mine were playing, and they said, well, why don't you come out and try it? And I thought, oh, really? Maybe. And my son had been playing rep hockey for 6 years, and so I borrowed his equipment and loved it.
Graham, like many women her age, didn't have the chance to play hockey as a kid.
I figure skated a little bit when I was younger, but other than kids playing floor hockey a little bit at school, girls really didn't play hockey.
It just shows that women's hockey has come this far when we can get enough players across the province over the age of 55 to form the competition.
Organizers are expecting 4 to 6 teams this year and hope the event will continue to grow in the years to come.
There's an awful lot coming behind us, so we know in the next few years there's going to be more and more teams coming to the BC 55 games.
We hope it will just grow and grow, that they will come to this event and we will get 4 to 6 teams to start out, and then we hope that the next one in Kelowna will get more.
In the meantime, they eagerly await puck drop in September and hope to play well in front of the home crowd.
We definitely want to show well for Cranbrook. We don't want to disappoint anybody, but at the end of the day, it's all about participating and having fun.
For the community producers in Cranbrook, I'm Bill Brewer.
Finally this month, it's out to Kimberley, where we join Dennis Walker.
We're in the Plattsville in Kimberley getting set for next month's Medieval Festival, and this is the 4th year. It's the final year. Michelle, are you ready to roll then?
Very much so. It's coming up really fast. We've had a couple of trips into Calgary to see some of the Vikings, and they are really excited about coming back, and they love Kimberley and they love the festival, so they're very much looking forward to it as well.
Did you and Eric ever think it was going to become as big an event as it is then?
No, we put it on as a one-time, and now we're into our 4th year.
Right. Good. How's it all going to roll out then, Michelle, as far as times and everything? Because you got a lot happening at one time on one weekend.
Yeah, so it starts on the Saturday, which is the 14th, and goes through to the Sunday, the 15th. It starts with a parade like it usually does, and then everything this year is going to be at the Coronation Park Baseball Diamond. We've found that we've had some difficulties with mobility, with people with limited mobility. So we want to have everything at the same place this year to make it a lot easier for everyone to be able to access it.
If we can talk a bit about what you're wearing, and we'll get back to the festival, but of course everybody that comes here and participates, they're going to be wearing maybe not exactly what you are, Eric, and what you are, Michelle, but let's talk about all the work that goes into getting a costume ready to come to the festival then.
Well, just come as you are is the prime thing, but like for Michelle, she makes her own costumes and makes it for all the volunteers and our staff so that we can be as authentic as we possibly can to the period.
What was the reason for getting this festival going in the first place? I wanted to talk a little bit about history today.
We put on the festival as a promotion for the bakery and to give back to the community a little something. It is a city of festivals, and we wanted to keep going with something a little different. Right. And our past heritage is of Viking descent, and so we thought that would be a great place to start and bring something new to the Kootenays.
It's interesting, Michelle, I had you on a radio interview. We were talking about researching, because each Viking or any participant has to research a little bit, but there's good sources for it, isn't there?
There are. It's kind of interesting actually, because each of the Vikings has a specific character with a backstory and everything from a very specific time period. So some of them are roving Vikings, some of them are more farmers or fishermen, or nomadic ones. So they have their different Viking roots, and there are different books that they have that they share with all of the other Viking troops, right, so that they can be as authentic as possible. And in Iceland and Norway and Sweden, of course, where everything started, there's tons and tons of resources, and the universities have different classes and stuff on it as well.
But Eric said you make the costumes yourself.
Yes, I made this one this year. So this is new for 2018. And the first couple of years I did more medieval rather than Viking, just because it's a lot easier. And but this year we wanted to add something different, so we decided to go with the Viking and do the underdress and the apron, and bring that into it as well.
Well, part of the show and the display is actually combat. And as though people can't tell weight on television, but just the helmet you're wearing today is very heavy. The rest of the getup is too. If you want to talk about that a little bit, Eric?
I was able to purchase this helmet from a Viking that comes to our show. He is, you might say, leveling up to a new helmet. So I was able to purchase this from him. It is quite heavy. It's about 14 pounds, and it is pretty strong and solid.
It's really turned into a theme too, and you can both talk a little bit about this, but you go into a fourth and final year, and there's a reason for that. It's a storyline that's gone from the first to the fourth year now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, as with all festivals, funding is the main issue, and we want to make sure that we're putting on the best festival we can. And so we think that now's a good time to put on our last festival, and we've got other places that we're going as well. I actually am working on publishing my first book, which is about Vikings, and we discovered that there's nothing historically accurate, so I wanted to bring that here as well. So we're hoping to have that in place before the festival, but if not, very close to.
We see two people dressed up and getting ready for next month's festival, the Kimberley Medieval Festival. But there's a life that goes on aside from that. Eric, is it hard to get the bread out, do all the work you have to do? You too, Michelle, but you've got to do a lot of work alongside. You're kind of working off the side of your desk trying to put together a festival and do your job and keep your business going at the same time. Has it been hard to juggle it all?
It's had its challenges, but like most things, we set our mind to it and we get it done.
Very good. What else will happen between now and then? The Vikings have to check in. Do they have to confirm ahead of time when they're going to come, what they're going to give to the festival? Like, I'm sure some are into combat, some are displaying. Just what do you ask of each person that comes, each participant, as far as commitment goes?
Well, the Vikings have their Jarl, who is in charge of the entire group. So there's 3 different groups that come, one from Kelowna, one from Edmonton, and one from Calgary. But the Jarl of the Calgary Viking group takes charge of everything. So I communicate with him and make sure that we have everything going on that we want, and I give them a little more leeway than they get in some festivals. Just say, this is what we want, and just work within these parameters, and they are amazing at making it happen.
I wonder, the first year that you had it here too, there's probably people that have never been to Kimberley, probably came just for this, and that's what brings them back, because one friend tells another, and that's the way it works.
Yeah, we've had over 10,000 each year, and it has been amazing, the response that we've had, the people who keep coming back even after the festival saying we missed the rest of Kimberley and the area because we spent the whole time amazed by your festival and the knowledge that we gained from it.
It's really good because you've had some pretty good international exposure on this as well, and that's going to bring more people up. Are you expecting many visitors from the United States this year, both with the money, the fuel, and the fact that they might want to come to this festival?
Well, definitely with the fact that we were featured on KSPS last year, which is the public television out of Spokane. We think that'll probably bring up a few extra people who didn't know about it before, and we get a lot of visitors from the States, and we don't see why they wouldn't come for this as well.
No, very good. Just trying to ramp it all up for the very 4th year. Anything else you want to get out before we get on our way here today and get ready for the festival then?
I would just like to say it is a free festival. Everyone please come out. It is our last year. In the words of Douglas Adams, this is the
trilogy in 4 parts.
Thank you. A trilogy in 4 parts.
And I just want to also say a huge thank you to our sponsors, the Kimberley City Bakery, Kootenay Savings, Columbia Basin Trust, who's been great all the years, and our official radio station sponsor, which is Summit 107 as well.
Good, thank you. You're the queen. That's a queen again?
I am.
Why was Eric demoted just before we go today? Eric was the king, right?
Yes. I needed more servants, and so I just needed more people to do all the stuff so we can make sure it's the best festival ever.
Come join us in Kimberley for the Medieval Festival coming up in the middle of next month.
That's all the time we have on this episode of the Community Producers. I'm Donna Grainger. Thanks for watching.